NHL rankings with Eric and Ron. Ron, thanks for joining me tonight.
Of course, like always, Eric, like two
Uh,
peas in
we
a pod.
two peas in a pod, man. Sports Unfolded as usual, bringing you some hockey knowledge today. My man Ron um, has broken down the top 5 teams in the NHL currently. So we'll start off at number 5.
Oh, well, first, we got to give shout outs to Toronto and Minnesota because they made this a little tighter than what I thought it would have been, especially with those two teams. So kudos to them. But on to number 5 is St. Louis holding on to their spot. They held on to this, barely held on to their spot, because I really wanted to give one of those two teams a shot in here. But still, 7-2-1. Can't argue with that right now. Couldn't put Toronto in. They're 7-4. Wild is 8-3. They were a little closer to me. But St. Louis, even though they went 1-1-1 on the week, it was not a good week for them. But they held on, still in there. But how long is that going to last? It could be done this week because they have Winnipeg, Nashville, and Carolina.
Oof.
So they better hope they beat Winnipeg and Nashville because it doesn't look good for them. Number 4, Calgary Flames dropped a spot, which means Washington is out. They just haven't been playing well this last week. But Calgary, despite 2 overtime losses, they came back with a 6-0 win over the Rangers. Rangers are a good team. They had a rough week as well, but that team is good. And Calgary still 7-1-3, solid in this top 5. And I think it's a pretty good week for them. They have one tough game. They have San Jose, Montreal, and then Toronto. So the Toronto game is what we're going to be looking for to see if they can make a push or if Calgary just holds them off. And I like Calgary's chances on this week. I think they go 3-0 this week.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. From there, you get to the cream of the crops because the next 3 teams are just working everyone over. Edmonton, 9-1. They are on a tear. Connor McDavid is just amazing. I don't know if you saw that goal against the Rangers.
With the 4, he went through the 4.
Oh yeah, he just went right through them like they were butter. I mean, he's look. Anybody out in Pittsburgh, they should take a look at the best player in the league over in Edmonton. That's what they should do. And yes, I'm hopping on Sidney Crosby again.
We know how much you love Sidney Crosby. So.
Yeah. But Edmonton, again, they just came off of a 6-5 overtime win against the Rangers. They have an interesting schedule this week because all 3 teams they're playing have winning records. And first, the upstart Detroit Red Wings, who have been playing pretty well until they ran into Boston. And then they have Boston, who has been up and down this season so far. And this is the game that I think is going to tell us a lot about Boston and Edmonton, because Edmonton's going to go in and play against possibly an angry Boston Bruin team. And that is not always an easy thing. And then they have Buffalo, who has a winning record, but they are starting to show they are the Buffalo Sabres. And I think that's going to be an easy win for Edmonton. All in all, I think Edmonton will at least win Detroit and Buffalo. That Boston game is a toss-up. I lean towards Edmonton because just the firepower is just ridiculous with those 2 players. But if they even go 2-1, say they lose to one of those teams, they'll still be in this at 11-2. They'll still be in there. So, number 2, Carolina Hurricanes, former number 1. So
little loss to maybe the possible. We don't want to give anything away.
Yeah, so they lost to a team finally. So they're 9-1. Um, they have Tampa Bay coming up next too, so they could actually drop two in a row because Tampa Bay is starting to play. They also have Philadelphia, who has played well, and Pittsburgh, despite having a winning record, is sitting in last place. So it's not an easy week for them. But I think they take two of the three, and again, they will hang on to be at least being in that top three. So, but Carolina is still a pretty awesome team. I don't, I'm not 100% on their goaltending. You know, Anderson, as well as he playing right now, I'm not sold on him. He was in Toronto. I know what he does.
Yeah.
I know what he does. So I'm not sold on Carolina. And number one, who just beat Carolina, is 10-0-1. Their only blemish is to the Boston Bruins. It's Florida Panthers. They have now they are now in range to start chipping away at some of those greatest starts of all
Right.
time.
Historic records. Yeah, I was going to say that.
I don't know if they can catch Chicago's 24. A little piece of me hopes they do because of the karma situation for Chicago. And it was right in that wheelhouse of that time.
Yeah.
It was, 2012, 13 that Chicago got 24 in a row. So I'm hoping, a little piece of me is hoping they do it, but not because they're in the Bruins division. But they have an interesting week as well. They got four games they're playing right now as we speak. Last I was watching, it was 1-0 Rangers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But they also have New Jersey tomorrow, and then Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay this week. So this is going to be a tough stretch for them.
This is going to show what they're really
Yeah,
made of.
I don't think they're going to continue that streak, especially with the Rangers already up a goal. Um, I think the Rangers are going to pull it off tonight and give them their first real loss, and I think Tampa Bay will probably win later on in the week. It did 4 games in a week in 6 days. That's a lot to ask for a team, and I think they're going to show some cracks this week. So that pretty much rounds out the top five. Again, um, Toronto and Minnesota Wild are on the heels of these teams.
On the cusp.
So, but these teams really haven't shown a lot of breaks in their armor, so to speak.
Yeah.
And right now, these are clearly the top five teams. Clearly the top five.
All right. Let's see if we can bring these up here. And here's our top five. So we have at number 5, the St. Louis Blues. At number 4, the Calgary Flames. At number 3, the Edmonton Oilers. Number 2, the Carolina Hurricanes. And at number 1, the Florida Panthers. That is our Sports Unfolded NHL top 5 ranking for this week.
Yeah, and those three teams at the top, I don't see them dropping out of the top five, even if they have a tough week. But I can see either Carolina or Edmonton sweeping their games this week and grabbing that top spot.
The number
I
one
can
spot.
see that because Florida 4 games that's a tall task to ask for a team to not have any blemishes through that. That's tough. So, but if they do it, more power to them.
They'll hold
I
on to the
think-
one spot.
Yeah, I think that Florida team right now is. Look, when you have Joe Thornton playing on your fourth line, that's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They are stacked. And Barkov, like, if there is a player that I would like to see come to Boston, it would be him because he, like, we have a Patrice Bergeron. That's him. Only, what, like 8 years younger. So in about 3 years, when Bergie retires,
There's your replacement. You
that's who
call him.
I want.
All
That's who
right.
I want.
I love it.
Barkov.
I love it.
But that's it. That's those are the teams.
Awesome. Ron, thank you. Once again, if you like what we're doing here, check us out Friday nights at 6 p.m. We're on live every Friday night. We're on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook, Rhode Island Broadcasting, on Twitch, Rhode Island _broadcasting. You can follow us on social media at Sports Unfolded on Facebook and Twitter, at Broadcasting RI on Twitter, Sports _Unfolded on Instagram. Listen to us on podcasts on Amazon, Anchor, Google, and Spotify. So many different ways to watch, listen. We're going to keep all this content. We've released today our NFL, NBA, and NHL rankings. We'll do it every week. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m., our NFL midseason grades, and we'll see how we did off of our NFL preview show and who came the closest. I know you had some records out there, so I already know the Buffalo Bills. You only had losing 2 games. That's already done.
Yeah, but they're still in first place. So,
right.
Most of my positioning on those teams are all intact. So.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So we'll have Kenny joining us tomorrow night for that. So that'll be at 7 p.m. Ron, as always, man, thanks for the hockey insight. Appreciate you.
No problem.
All right. You have a good night. Fans out there, have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Good night, everybody.
Peace.